Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness, and what we have here is a whole lot of book games. So, a little quick thing about our definition of book games. I'll try to zoom out here a little better. As opposed to a game book, to be a game book is an adventure in a book where you play solitaire paragraph style books. Those are game books. Book games are actual games in a book format where there's usually maps, charts, counters, other pieces, player aids, etc., rules that you either cut them out or you write on the pages themselves or you photocopy them and print them and do that. So this is the world of book games. There's a whole lot of them here. There's a huge stack all the way here. And these are thick piles. So we're not going to go through all of them. I'm going to show you the cover of all of these, and I'm going to take a quick peek in each sort of stack, each set, look at one game, and then one game in particular we will look at in detail. It's kind of special to me, and you'll see why. So now, all that said, I'm also, besides not game books, these are book games, I'm also excluding magazine games. So all those strategy and tactics, World at War, Modern Warfare, where the game comes in the magazine. I'm also including Panzer Digest, which to me is a small format magazine that has games in them. Now, we will be covering Minden games underneath here. These are Minden games because these are ones that they've published in book format. They've taken some of their Panzer Digest games, reprinted them in book format, or combined, 4 games in one book, etc. So we will be looking at some Minden games, just not the Panzer Digest version. So let me set that aside. So what I want to do first is take a look at the oldest ones that I have. That's this big, huge stack here. These are Andrew McNeil games published by Usborne Publishing. Now, these come in hardback and paperback versions. I'm not sure if the hardback ones were only published in the UK or not, and the paperbacks were done in the US, but I've managed to collect all 5 in this series in the hardback, and I have some of them in the paperback also. So we have here book 1. They call it the battle game book. So it's got the word battle and game book, but it's a battle book, battle game book, war game book. Okay. So the Wild West, Knights at War, Galactic War, and I believe each of these has exactly 4 games in each one. World War II, and Fighting Ships. All right, so let's look at the World War II one, because, World War II is one of the most popular topics for war games and such. So it says game boards, rules, and pieces all included. All right. Now, the way this works is they've got some, general material about the topic. Then they'll get to the games towards the middle. Now, this one has actually had pieces for some of the games removed. Like, here's the Winter War and Carrier, and there was like another sheet that went with this, and these pieces have already been cut out. So I didn't do this. I got it this way. That's actually my receipt from Enterprise Games, I believe. So here's ones that are not Air Assault and Beachhead have not been cut out. So there's the rule sheet part, and this is the part that you would cut out here. Now, I personally would have never cut these out. I would go ahead and photocopy these and make copies. So I highly recommend that. Any of these game book things here, there are some exceptions. There's some book games that have many pages of like roll and write versions, which we will include. And you just have so many sheets of it, you can go ahead and you're never going to, there's 50. Are you going to play the game more than 50 times? I don't know. But some people are like, I'm not going to ever touch my book. I'm not going to write in it. So I'm going to, I'm going to photocopy, do that. Okay. So here's the map of the Winter War. And so these are big enough that you can lie flat, that you just leave it in here. All right. In this format that works. There's carrier. All right. Air assault. War over Europe was the subtitle. And Beachhead, an invasion game. And that's it. So those, like this is pasted to the backboard of this. So definitely not intended for that to go. Now again, you could, if you could get that big, double spread, that might be hard to find where you could photocopy that or have a scanner bed that big. It might be kind of expensive to get that done. But since you can play that right in here, if you just, copy these pages and then cut out the copy that you made, and then you're in good. So let's see here. I'm going to put that back in the center. So that is the look inside, the first one. So that's the series by Andrew McNeil from Usborne. I'm not sure how you want to pronounce that. I'm not sure. And it being British, who knows? All right. So the next thing we're going to take a look at here is this. I mentioned sort of the print and plays. Okay. This is just I think there might be another one in this series by Noah Patterson. But this is called One Page World War II Tank Warfare Ardennes. Now, as I mentioned, those pages are all the same. Okay. And this is the part that you would write on. You'd mark off, damage, and I'm not sure if that's promotions or experience, your ammo, your shell, your tread damage, etc. Now this says here in the rules, like, you may want to use a tank miniature. They don't supply anywhere in here a piece. You could use coins, you could use buttons, you could use checkers, tiddlywinks, whatever. You could photocopy this and just shrink it down and cut that out and use, or you could have a miniature or whatever. So I did not include in book games miniatures rules that there are many miniature rules in book format. I did not include those. That's like a whole huge other topic by itself. So this has very little rules in it. Okay, so that was sort of the look inside that one, because there's only one in this series. All right. Now, speaking more roll and writes, Worthington Games, they have come out with a whole slew of things here. And I'm going to look at the covers real quick. I have these in alphabetical order. Bismarck Solitaire, Braveheart Solitaire. Notice the name and the pattern of the titles. Coral Sea Solitaire, Gettysburg Solitaire. This is the one we'll look at since, Gettysburg, Civil War, that's pretty popular. Guadalcanal Solitaire, Starship Commander Solitaire, and Waterloo Solitaire. They might have one more, I can't remember. But I didn't have it here in my pile, so that's that. So now some of these, I think the Waterloo one and maybe one other, maybe the Bismarck one, they made into box versions. So there is the game, but this is the book game available on like Amazon, and you may be able to get it elsewhere. The vast majority of these things I got on Amazon. Obviously not the Usborne hardback titles. Those I had to go through eBay to get those. But so there are box game versions of some of these, but there's still the book game. Now this happens to have two different games in it. right, I'm having a problem with that cover. So look at the table of contents. They have day 1 and day 2 of the battles of Gettysburg. It was 3-day battle. They covered the first 2 days. I don't know if they're gonna make a version of this for the 3rd day, or if the 3rd day is just too big and complicated or whatnot. But so they've got some rules on how to do this. Detailed example of play. And then they've got a whole bunch of repeated sheets. So this is the first day here, so these are all looking the same. However, on the back side of these, they have a little historical. They have one of the generals or whatnot, commanders. So this information here for the game, like you need this information to play this. You don't need this, but they went ahead and put a different dude on each one of those to let you have a little more historical variety, historical flavor. Next one, we have the second day here. And it's the same thing. They talk about, in this case, different units or particular events. The repulse of General Johnson's division. And here they have the 20th Maine, good old Charles McBaron, Longstreet, etc. So, sorry for my arm getting in front there, but so this is an example of the Worthington. Some of these, I haven't looked through all of these recently. I can't remember. Some of these might have multiple scenarios. Some might just be one single setting, one single scenario. I do not remember. All right. So a bunch of those available online. You can check that out on Amazon. All right. So that's enough for the roll and write style game, which there was no counters. It was all, you see the spots, you mark off activations, you got little rolls and things like that. So these are all, roll and write style games. Same kind of thing here. All right. Boom, boom. Now, let's do the Minden games. It's falling down here. Get back up there. All right. So Minden Games has been out. The Gary Graber of Minden Games has been publishing stuff for a long, long, long time. He has many, many, many games. Like I said, the Panzer Digest stuff, that's been out a long time. These are some of the reprints. There's things such as, this is a solitaire logistics game. So when you look inside, like, those are the pieces. They're just markers to mark status on these logistic charts. So it's like various supply and starvation levels, food, defense, morale, health, all right? Because this is a logistics game. So here, this part here is the historical information and the rules. And so this is kind of I'm going to say oddball kind of game, but if you want to learn about, 900-day siege of Leningrad, right? 900 days, you can look at it from that aspect. So let me go through. That wasn't really the one I intended to look at. We'll peek out another one later, but let's go through all the titles. This is a set of solitaire 19th century games. So Assault at Cold Harbor, Charge of the Light Brigade, and Gunfight at OK Corral. That looks kind of interesting. Of course, Stalingrad, always a favorite, but the Leather Factory. Now, many people are like, oh, the Tractor Factory. They do certain famous ones. Well, how about the Leather Factory? Do you know about the Leather Factory? So quick, maps like that. Let's see, so what the counters look like here, if I can find a counters page. There. And so you would photocopy these and cut them out. You could mount them, etc. All right. Now, this is a example of Panzer Digest became Panzer Schreck, and the later versions were bound like a book. So that's why I included these, since it's technically a book. So it's a book game. This issue's games Battle over Dunkirk, Der Tag, 1916, so that's World War I, and Napoleon in Italy. So that's a nice little variety of things there. Here was one that reprinted something that was in the earlier Panzer Digest, The Fall of Rome, Turning Point 1934, Night of the Long Knives. So yeah, it's those Nazis. I'm not going to say the rise to power. Battle of the Somme, 1916, a battle game book. Here's another Panzerschreck war game collection, reprinted from Panzerschreck Mag. So it was at least a magazine, and then eventually it sort of became a bound booklet. 5 war game classics: Fall of Constantinople, Battle of Dunkirk, Commando Raid on Rommel, Siege of Leningrad, and The Mighty Hood. Now, I'm not sure if this is the exact same Siege of Leningrad that was this one or not. I haven't actually looked through this one very much yet. So they also have occasionally done some ding-a-ding, a larger format. So this is, like full 8.5 by 11, I think. That's kind of an odd size, but so Weltkrieg 1914, strategic core level west and east front. So let's see, a lot of charts and tables. There we go. There's a map there. Belgium Reserve East, Alsace-Lorraine. Biographical designer notes. So, so quite a bit of that. So we've looked like a fair bit of all these different ones here. As you can see, this one, Charged Light Brigade. This is a point-to-point. Got a little variety in the kind of games in these. Salt at Cold Harbor, just a standard hex and counter game, etc. All right, so that was Minden Games. A variety of books that are reprinted from Panzer Digest and Panzerschreck. Okay, this keeps falling over, but we're going to get to these guys last. All right. All right, you lay down there. Be calm. All right. So this is a series of games for what's called Art of War games. They have different subsets. They have Battlegrounds. So these 3 are the Alamo, Crusaders, Siege of Acre, Death or Glory, the Battle of Rorke's Drift. Okay, so that's one series they have. They have Commanders at War, Game 1, Stalingrad, Cauldron of Death. Now, of course, it's Stalingrad, so we'll take a quick peek inside. That's on a play map. That's a planning map. Aha. Here's the game map. And they come in 2 seasonal varieties. Now, that's kind of cool, right? You got your winter and you got your summer. Or spring or autumn. Various player aids, and there's the counter sheets. Now, these are double-sided. So you got to, cut that, and you got to put that on that side. All right? You don't fold it over. You have to cut it and then paste it to the back. All right? So there's only one out in this series so far. Delta 6. This is called the Die 6 Solitaire War Game. I'm going to show you a little bit about this first. Because here's the map. I think there's 2 maps. There's map 2. Map 1. There are no pieces in here. There's rules. There's some chart. There's a 2 map. That's because you use dice. 2 different colored dice. Each pip represents 1 soldier. So you have kind of 1 to 6 soldier per hex. You can have that. Now, you could in a pinch use coins or stack up checkers or whatnot, but dice. Now, of course, you'd have to have the right size dice. If they're too big, they're not going to fix those hexes on the map. Where was that again? All right. So most people probably have dice that'll fit that fine. But if you've got a whole bunch of dice that are too big, you're going to have problems with them bumping into each other. Now, I'm going to show you here. I believe they show in the back. There's Men at War is another series. They have 3 modules, and I had not picked them up. I was waiting because one of them was out of print or just not available on Amazon. They just recently released an omnibus version of all 3 together, so I just ordered that. And supposedly there's going to be a 4th volume coming soon. Yeah, I think it's the 4th, Rattenkrieg, I think it's going to be called. Right, so that is Art of War Games, where they're Battlegrounds, Dice 6 Solitaire System, Commanders at War, and their upcoming Minute War, which I wasn't able to show you, but there. All right. Are we ready for this yet? No. Before we get to these, we've got this. Now, many of you, if you know about book games, you heard of Mike Lambo. He has been pumping these out here. This whole magazine holder here is full of all these. Plus these. I can't cram them in there. It's too big. I've been have to separate them into multiple ones. So I will show you all the covers so you can see all the different titles, and then we'll grab one to look at there. So I had shown these before when I did my thing on non-boxing unboxings, where I looked at 10 games and then I put the poll up. And this is the reason why we're doing book games now. I should have mentioned that at the very beginning. Book games, because that was the winner on the poll. We had bag games, not in Ziploc bags, but bags, actual cloth bags, tube games, games that come in tubes, book games, and other non-standard containers other than cardboard boxes, which included looking at more tin games or wooden cases or plastic cases, and the winner was book games. So that's why we're doing this here now. So these are ones that I had shown in that other video real quickly. So this is Fantasy, Celestia 2, The Ice Demon, Outpost 2099, Sci-Fi Solitaire, Rifle Squad, British Home Guard. All right, there's another Rifle Squad game, but it's like Omaha Beach. So I'm going to pull these out from the back forward because they're in alphabetical order. Assault on Vimy Ridge. Obviously, this is World War I, for those that are familiar with Vimy Ridge. Battles of the English Civil War. Not a super popular era of battles for Americans. We don't know much. Most people don't care. But if you do, here it is. Battles of Kursk. Obviously, that's World War II, Eastern Front. Battles of Medieval Britain. Battles of Napoleonic Europe. Battles of Normandy. Beaches for the Brave. Now, we're going to return to Normandy here. Normandy is very popular. Well, Beaches for the Brave. This is probably also, well, this could be other ones. I don't remember. I haven't looked at this in a long time. If these are just generic beaches, that looks pretty generic. All right. A little tiny format one, Fields of Normandy. So we mentioned Normandy. We're going to turn. Well, there's also Fields of Normandy XL. There's a little bigger format. The maps are bigger, more spaces. You can see the bigger hexagons. So there's actually two versions of it. It's basically the same game. And Fields of Normandy 2, more material on the Fields of Normandy. Ghosts of the Jungle, obviously Vietnam. Yep, Vietnam. I mean, it could have been Pacific World War II, but Hostage Rescue Squad. So, like tactical bang bang, Counter-Strike kind of stuff or whatnot. Long Range Recon Patrol. So I get that whole title in there. Lone Astro Tank. So, obviously, science fiction. Lone Sherman. Driving around in a Sherman tank. Obviously, World War II. Lone Sherman. The Pacific. Quests for the Brave. A solitaire fantasy game. The Race to Bastogne. All right, Battle of the Bulge. Always have to have Battle of the Bulge. Rifle Squad, U.S. at Omaha Beach. I mentioned that before because the Rifle Squad, the British Home Guard. All right. We're getting close to the end here. Solestia, the Wizard of Doom. Remember, there's Solestia 2 was the other one that I showed. So this is the first in that series. Spiders from Outer Space. All right. And the last one, alphabetically, Tank GP, a racing game. So GP, Grand Prix, a racing game for one or more players. So obviously this is a tank racing game, and obviously since you're in a tank, there's fighting too. So one of those big free-for-all brawls, race, shoot 'em up kind of games. All right. So, well, what shall we look at in more detail here? Probably World War II. How about Lone Sherman? All right. Now, I'm going to need to set these aside this way to make sure I have enough space to get a decent camera angle for you. All right, a solitaire war game, Mike Lambo. All these are available on Amazon. All right, so that says mission 11. So there's at least 11 missions. Unless I skip one, there could be 12. No, mission 11. So there's 11 missions. 10, 9. So there's information on that. So you could flatten your book, crease that down, play right in here, and have the facing pages, or you can photocopy these and play outside the book. So here's the little missions, 8, 7. So these somewhat sound generic. You know, a 3-on-1 fight. It's a bridge fight, but they don't say which bridge. Assassination. What does that mean? Who's going after a high-ranking German officer? All right. Damaged and surrounded, 3-on-1. That was that one. Destroy the truck. Just passing through the lake. Eliminate the infantry. Tiger hunt. You really want to go up against a tiger in your German? The village. Okay, now I'm expecting to see some rules and some counters up front here. Or maybe this was one that also has, you have, you know, tokens of pennies or quarters or buttons or... All right, so... Okay, this one does not appear... Wait, the counter's part in the final page of the book. Oh, really? Oh, there they are, way back here. There they are, final page of the book. So the suggested counters. So you could say you could remove these pages. They recommend photocopying them and then cutting those out, and weather effects, clouds. I could be smoke instead. Not sure if that's fire or damage or something, but all right. So that's the count. So that was the Mike Lambo games, umpteen gabillion zillion of them. He just pumps these out here. He's been doing real well for himself. All right, available on Amazon. Now, finally, we are come to Historic Wings. Thomas Van Hare. There are currently 5 games out. He's got 2 or 3 more in progress. And you see here, oddly, the book games and box games. Now, when he first started coming out, they were just book games. All right, so let's take a quick look. Tally Ho. This is the Battle of Britain. There's, I think, like 10 or 11 scenarios in that. Mag 23, Guadalcanal. This is running ongoing operations at the air base, Henderson Field, having to keep things going, trying to repair the airfield, you keep track of individual pilots that are either getting wounded and how exhausted they are and all that kind of stuff. All right. SEO Lysander. This is rescue operations, trying to rescue downed pilots in Europe that have crashed. So sort of operation behind enemy line rescue operations, etc. Overflight here. This is Cold War. This is, the U-2 spy planes snooping around over the East Bloc, over Warsaw Pact and the Soviet Union. Reconnaissance game in a narrative style, it says. And the most recent one, and this is the near and dear to me that we will look in detail, is Game of Drones, a solitaire drone war game. Now this, as helping Thomas Van Herder, is Joe McDonald, Nick the Big Bag. If you haven't seen his video, he's been interviewed a lot. I mean, he doesn't do YouTube videos, but he's been interviewed quite a bit by different YouTube channels about his actions in Ukraine. He's a British soldier who went to fight in Ukraine and is might still be doing it. He might be retired from that from now. I'm not sure, but he's gone back and forth and done various things. But so we're going to take a look at this, including the box. Now, quick word about these boxes. These books are available on Amazon. It's the only place I know that they're available right now. These are boxes and components. They're maps, counters, player aids. Some of them even have canvas maps. Some are paper, cardstock maps. These are optional. You can play everything with these. You can print out, the maps, the counters. Like, look at those nice big, good graphics. You can print those puppies out. You've got charts. Lots of historical information. I mean, you look at that's a big, thick tome, right? Lots of supporting material. There's like I said, this one had mission 15. There's 15. There's a Operation Sea Lion, C'est le Voix, like a kind of a campaign, and there's all these separate scenarios. So a lot of stuff in here. But if you don't like printing stuff out, making counters, all that kind of stuff, Historic Wings, Thomas Van Herder, partnered up with Blue Panther, and Blue Panther is printing these boxes with the counters in them. Now, they do not include these books. You cannot buy just this. You have to have the game book. So you can get this and use it by itself, and you can add the box to it if you want to. Now, sometimes the boxes have additional material that are not in the book. There's bonus material, and I'm going to show you that specifically for Game of Drones. Okay, and you'll see why this one is special to me. All right, so we have Game of Drones. Let's take a quick look in here. Okay, there's counters. Now this is sheet A. All right, it's got front and back. These people are named, and they're actually based on real people. There's Big Mac, Joe McDonald, and these other people are actual people. And I believe Scooter there is Thomas Van Herder, I think. Drone team charts. Here's maps, forward position and I-5 bunker. All right. All these different areas which you can be doing drone warfare, suppression, attacks, reconnaissance, etc. All these examples of play. Great stuff here in the booklet. And for the price of these booklets, you're getting a lot of good material here. So great stuff. Okay, 5 of 10, solitaire. Time to play 30. I mean, depending on which scenario you're playing. Continuing. Now, let's look here. Now, first of all, there's a canvas map, and you got to be careful with these. This one is so big that it's not just folded over; it's folded over twice, and unfortunately, you can't avoid that if you're going to store it in the box. So the way I did that is I put this sort of like rounding this edge and put the other stuff in the middle. So this is not going to, this part here is still going to get creased. And you're hoping that it doesn't crease it so bad that it breaks the color on the surface. If you don't want to risk any chance of it doing this, immediately as soon as you get a box it's both the last two. It's the Game of Drones and the Overflight. Open it up, take out and then roll it, store it rolled. That's inconvenient in terms of storage, but if you want to make sure you don't get a crease that's gonna damage the surface, the color, that's what you need to do. Okay, so here's a nice canvas map. All right, and that's for one of those scenarios. There's multiple maps as we saw in there. So there's ones here that you're gonna just use these printed versions. It's a light card. It's a heavy paper light cardstock, whichever we want to call it. All right. A daily rotation record. This is something that you'd photocopy, but you got a nice copy here. Drone team charts, player aids. I think it is double-sided. Russian fire, jamming, artillery tables, all sorts of goodies. Now, you're thinking, man, you still haven't explained why this is so cool to you. So this was that counter sheet that we saw in the game, and it was two-sided. So we saw two parts. We saw the front and the back next to each other that you could print out yourself and do that. Well, you get a bonus sheet of counters in the printed box game. And if you look through the people here, there's some people you may know. Jester. Yes, ID Jester. Phoenix Knight, Eric Guy. Now, I'm not sure I recognize all these people, but I recognize this guy here. Let's zoom in and zoom in again. That old guy, that's me. That is my call sign. This is actual, you can't see it very well because it's just my headshot, but I'm in Ukrainian kit. This is actually before Crimea got invaded. I was sporting Ukrainian kit before the invasion of Crimea, way before the invasion of Ukraine itself. So that's an old photo of me. I got a lot more gray hair now, but that was my call sign. Now, I gotta admit, I was also running Russian kit too. So I feel very ashamed of my Russian. Yeah, Russian's bad, Ukrainian's good. Okay, that's enough editorial, but yeah. So that's me in there, old guy, which my call sign was actually Stary Parin, which means old guy in Russian. So there you have it. That was a look at the contents of the Game of Drones, all this material for the Historic Wings series. Let me zoom out here. So we have covered quite a bit here. We have this huge amount of material. Well, that stuff on the top, that's Thomas Van Heer. But all this, that's Mike Lambo. Thomas Van Heer, that's only 5 games, but that's a lot of material here. Thick books, and you can get boxes. This is from Art of War Games, their series with more there. There's that Men of War series, like 3 titles so far, 3 modules, and they've got an omnibus version out. We covered various Minden games, reprints from Panzer Digest and Panzer Schrecht. And we had a little bunch of solitaire roll-in rights from unfortunately, I like it when they have stuff on the spine. Unfortunately, most of these ones don't. The first 3 titles of Historic Wings did have, I don't know if you can see that very well there. Yeah. But the next two, they didn't. So Thomas, if you watch this, please get that so that they start putting the title on the spine again. It's very handy. It's probably maybe more expensive in the printing process. I don't know, because a lot of them don't do it. And then we had this one off here from it's Noah Patterson. I don't know if it's got a company name here. It's just like self-published on Amazon, Noah Patterson. And then we had all those old Usborne, Andrew McNeil, 4 games each of these. That's pretty cool. All right, so this has been meandering through my collection of book games. Let's pull that back up. Yeah, because there's 3 more here of Mike Lambo. Now, if you know of any other book games, feel free to add that to the comments. Now, I like I said, I excluded certain categories, and so, I wasn't including game books, the paragraph-based ones. There's some Adam C. Mitchell titles, and I said the guy I can't remember. So there's some stuff in the war game space that are more they're game book, adventure game books, not book games. So I didn't include those, but I've been doing game books, looking in my collector's corner. So far, I've done the TSR one-on-one adventure game books, and I just did the high fantasy stuff from Jeffrey C. Dillow and Craig Fisher, and I may do the more modern wargamey game book, adventure game books, at some point. That's not a priority for me, but so Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. This has been another presentation of my non-boxing unboxing. So in a sense, now we did technically sort of unbox one thing. We did look at the boxed version of Game of Drones, just because I was in it. But this has mostly been a non-boxing unboxing of book games. Now, I will continue to do these. I will probably do the runner-up from the poll. I can't remember if it was the bag games or the tube games. So I will probably do one of those sometime, probably in March, say. If you have any other suggestions for content along this line, again, different lines of game books or book games or other oddball things, and you can suggest those. I always look forward to suggestions, and again, I may not be able to cover everything, but I do my best. Woo-hoo, Game of Drones. So I'm gonna sign out here. Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. What I should do is I should sign out zoomed in on my face, right? Meandering Mike, you're silly. Yes, I am. Because that's who we are. So there we are. Old guy. So remember, take care of your games. And maybe the games will take care of you. Ciao, y'all.